Better late than never, I guess. The Woman King is a movie about the Dahomey Kingdom in Africa who are seeking to break free from paying tribute to the slave-trading Oyo Kingdom in the 1820s. An elite squad of Dahomey warrior women known as the Agoji lead the fight against the Oyo Kingdom and the European slave traders who want to keep the slave trade alive. The film stars Viola Davis, Thuso Mbedu, Lashana Lynch, and John Boyega, and it is directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. First off, The Woman King is not nearly as cringy as I thought it was going to be. I really need to buy a thesaurus because I think I've worn out the word cringy. Anyway, I saw the trailer several months ago, which opened with John Boyega saying, "An evil is coming that threatens our kingdom, our freedom, but we have a weapon they are not prepared for." The implication being that a group of 50 women with scimitars are going to single-handedly fight off European colonizers, and I'm thinking, are they bulletproof? Do they have invisibility cloaks? Do they multiply when you throw water on them? Thankfully, this line isn't in the movie, and surprisingly, most of the film's antagonists are not Europeans at all, but are instead the Oyo Kingdom to whom the Dahomey pay tribute. This is a pretty solid movie. It didn't leave a lasting impression on me. It did get a little boring in some parts, and I don't plan on seeing it again, but I think it's worth streaming once. It follows a predictable formula, but that isn't always a bad thing. My favorite part of the movie is just seeing the Dahomey Kingdom in its prime, assuming the directors made it look as authentic as possible. It's nice to see a movie about Africa that isn't about child soldiers or genocide, but instead shows a flourishing African nation and culture prior to European colonization. I think we could use more movies like that. Just think about the wealth of African myths and legends that could be turned into good movies. I thought they did a good job of making these actresses look like legitimate warriors. Viola Davis is a pretty intimidating presence, and I bought the idea that they could do some serious damage with a spear or scimitar. However, they do make the mistake of occasionally putting the actresses next to some rather large Dahomey men, and then you realize, yeah, those women would get wrecked. Those men are twice their size. The acting was solid, the production value looked good, and I thought this was a perfectly good Saturday afternoon flick. There are several things that bug me, though. I'm no historian, but what I have heard, unfortunately, is that this movie took severe liberties with the history of the Dahomey. They portray them as reluctant slave traders who decided to abandon slavery to stand in solidarity with other Africans against the white Europeans, and that apparently was not even close to being the case. I also didn't like a lot of the action choreography. It was way too flashy, and it didn't seem historically accurate. These women are twirling their spears around like Power Rangers, and I'm about 98% sure that is not how they fought in the 1820s. First of all, a spear is long because you want to keep your enemy at a distance. You want to maximize that distance while also maintaining control of the spear. If you grab your spear at the middle and then spin it around and behind your back, you're defeating the purpose of having a spear in the first place. I pretend to know something about spears because I watch a lot of Shadiversity YouTube videos. They also have a bunch of half-baked subplots that don't amount to very much. We find out a character is secretly related to another character, and it's supposed to be a shocking reveal, but it was unnecessary and it didn't add anything to the story. We also see it implied that John Boyega's favorite wife is trying to use some intrigue to gain control of the kingdom, but that subplot gets brushed over very quickly. And while I said it wasn't as cringy as I thought it was going to be, there was some symbolism that was too on the nose. One of the Agoji grabs a chain and then she starts whipping a European with it, and then she wraps the chain around her fist and then punches him with it. Or one of the slave traders is a Brazilian mulatto, and he said something like, "My mother wanted her children to know that our people were kings." And it's like, that's definitely a 20th century phrase thrown in there. In spite of that, it's worth a watch on streaming, so go ahead and check it out.